The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
At Lowe's, this Veterans Day and every day, verified military members, veterans, and their spouses get automatic silver status in My Lowe's Rewards with free standard shipping, plus 10% off eligible purchases with no annual limit. It's one way we honor and give back to those who have served and still do. Learn more now at lowes.com/military. 10% discount can't be combined with another offer. Exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Sports Social Podcast Network, the biggest voices in sport. Let's take a look at some of the lineup. The England pod.
If he plays regular minutes this season for Manchester City, he will re-emerge as one of the best players that we've got.
The final word.
Not sure whether stress fractures were a thing in the mid-70s in the same way that nobody ate avocados until 2005.
Let's be having you.
I love the fact that he's chosen that moment to go, do you know what? Now I'm going to do it.
All on Europe's biggest sport podcast network. Find your next favourite sport podcast. Search Sports Social Podcast Network and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Verified comparison at content.sport-social.co.uk/comparison.
You're going to complain and groan and push back against it. No, you come in together with it.
Make gifting easy with Benson Clegg. Handcrafted cufflinks, luxury accessories, and a proper British style. Trusted since the 1930s by royalty. Get 15% off with code KARATE15, exclusively for Anxious Black Belt podcast listeners. Shop now at bensonclegg.com. Welcome to Anxious Black Belt, podcast that focuses on karate, mental health, and everything in between. Today, my pleasure is to catch up with Sensei Kris Wilder. We haven't spoke for a long time. I've been on Kris's podcast, Kris been on my podcast, and I've been a few years, and now it's best time to catch up. How are you, Kris?
Yeah, I am. I'm finer than frog's hair. That's how I'm doing. You've never heard that, huh?
Can you explain now?
To be finer, to be smaller, to be little than hair on a frog. To be fine, to finer. Frog's hair is very small, very fine. It doesn't exist. Finer than frog's hair.
Okay, something new.
You can have that.
Every day something new.
Yeah.
How you've been, sir?
Well, what would you like to? What you want, the truth or you want the story? Because I can give you either one. So,
a true story.
Okay, I decided to catch cancer.
Oh wow!
Which was and by the time I got to well, many things happened, but what it did is it metastasized into stage 4, and they gave me a terminal diagnosis, and which I chose to reject and replace with my own reality. And I have a new oncologist now, and I am successfully pushing back. They took a CT scan, which is slices of your body. And they put the old one up and they put the new one up, and they went, cancer, no cancer, cancer, no cancer, and boom, boom, boom. So I only have 2 places left, which were the points of origin on the esophageal cancer. I'm doing much better. There were some absolutely wild times. I wound up in the emergency room one time from internal bleeding from the the radiation therapy burned a hole in my esophagus, and I was bleeding so badly internally that they put 5 units of blood in me, which was amazing. And got to spend a week in the hospital, got to experience really amazing pain medications. That was interesting. Had a heart rate go off, got up to like 160 beats a minute. Lots of emergency people running around, did that. I got caught by one of the nurses. I've got all of these tubes in me, and I'm at the end of my bed and I'm doing tensho. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing karate." She's like, "Get back in bed." I'm almost done, So, yeah, but that's what happened. And so one of my black belts moved from Seattle to where I now live outside of Spokane, Washington, and took over the dojo for about 8 months while I was unable to be on the floor. And now I'm back on the floor, and although not perfect, but that's the short version. Yeah, I had I still technically have it, but I talk in the past tense. Yeah, I had stage 4 terminal cancer, and now I don't. So there we go.
That explained that you disappeared from the social media for some time, and now I'm feeling bad that I haven't reached out to you to check on you.
Well, don't feel bad about that, because I really have not posted anything about it per se. I didn't. You're never going to see a picture of me in the hospital bed going, "Yeah," It's just I don't do that. And so I've kind of kept it quiet. And I didn't really reach out to people, but as they found out, they found out, and the thoughtful thing is Les, I know exactly what would have happened. You would have said, "This is so terrible. What can I do for you?" And the answer is, we have an ocean between us. I appreciate your thought. It's very kind, but nothing. Is the answer, unless you want to pray. And I'm a big believer in that. So, if you want to do that, do that. But I went from, I can tell you this, in 6 weeks, went from 210 pounds to 163.
That was
I don't know how you do that.
You went because of a chemo and treatment, or because of the cancer?
Both. And I have to tell you this funny. My son moved in with me for 9 months, and Les, if my son had not done that, I would be dead. There's no question. And so one of the anti-nausea drugs that they gave me said, may cause hallucinations. So I'm standing in the living room, and I've got this feeding tube in my side and a backpack with, and it's pumping, and I've taken this medication. And I looked at my son and I said, "I would like you to confirm that there is not a gray wolf in the middle of the living room, because right now I see a gray wolf." And he's like, "No." It's like, "Nah, I'm not doing this drug anymore." Because Les, I'm telling you, I understand what schizophrenia looks like now, because that wolf was real. But I knew intellectually that it's impossible. So I was able to save that because I had those wits about me. But it's like, oh, this is what schizophrenia is like. Got it. So yeah. But on a more positive end, and this really dovetails into what you do, with Karate for Mental Health, is that there has to be, and I know you'll agree with this because it's not news to you, but it is news to some people, that if you can control the mind, you can control the body. And if you can control the body, you can control the mind. So constantly during this, I was using my karate training, which had built a certain amount of physical mobility and tension and so forth. and also the mental discipline when the body was not performing. I could make my mind perform, and vice versa. And to really try to bring these things together, to not look at them as the mind and the body, but to look at it this way, which I do, and I agree. And you obviously do that as well. But I would say that if I were just a average Joe who walked off the street and into the cancer care facility that I did, and did not have the tools that I had learned from my instructors, I think I would be dead, But the mental training, the understanding that the mind and the body perform together, is and was a extraordinary aspect of my healing. And so when you're out doing the work that you do, whether it's somatic or whatever it might be, I'm here to tell people, get on board, get as much information as you can to help you link your mind and your body together so that you can perform as a complete person. Mm-hmm. And, we're fortunate because you and I have a martial arts background. And, I've used it now for my personal growth and health, but you, I'll be in the piper of explaining to people, sharing it with them. And to anybody that's listening today, I would say to them, get a chance to get on the floor with less, but you're going to come away with a nugget, a tip, a trick, something that's going to open the door to a much larger experience of blending and becoming a total person and not an isolated component like scientific Western medicine wants you to be. And I'm not talking woo-woo stuff. We deal with, real results, time, true, tested things that help bring the body into unity. So, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of what you're doing. We've only had a chance to share the floor one time. It was delightful. It was great. But I would say to anybody that's listening to this, don't pass the opportunity and do yourself a favor. Challenge yourself and challenge less, because less will meet the challenge for you.
Thank you. That's very kind of words of you. It's actually, you remember my first book, The Anxious Black Belt, the cover?
Yes.
One of my students made it for. Unfortunately, she's got the cancer stage 4 as well of the liver.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes. It seems to be she's for some experimental drugs as well, but she returned to a karate, but meditation version of it, because it's not only helping her physically. She cannot do much physically. The chemotherapy took a toll on her, but she explained to me that coming for an hour and a half of a karate meditation way at least give her a mind break from everything which was going on, which a lot of people forget, that when you get engaged in a physical activity that you can do, it gives you that a little break from everything else. You can lose yourself for some time and socialize with people as well, because she kind of went closed herself up in and stopped talking to people, reaching out to people, and now she realized, hey, I've got some positive results with my treatment. There is hope. I need to get out, speak to people, have the support from people, be part of the group that I can quickly recover, not only physically but mentally as well.
You speak to something that is, I think, helpful, and that is Kubler-Ross's stages of grieving. Rejection, denial, bargaining, all of these kinds of things. And I understand that when such a traumatic event happens, I can understand why she pulled away from other people. It's a natural tendency. And this is, I don't know if this will make sense to you, but we call it, where I come from, we call it dog under the porch. When a dog is ill, it goes away and it goes underneath the porch, and hides. But I'm happy to hear that she has re-engaged, because when you re-engage, or when you don't disengage, you have an opportunity to have people point to the water that you're swimming in and say, oh, you probably should not eat top ramen noodles every meal, but I like it. No, I think maybe let's try a vegetable. And so and everybody, when they come to you in your illness, they will say this. They will say, if there's anything I can do, let me tell you this, people, don't say those words. I understand that you're at a loss for words, and you understand you're at a loss. It is a difficult time for everybody. Don't say those words. Just show up. Show up to have conversation. Show up to mow their lawn unannounced. Show up with a lasagna. Just show up. Don't put the burden of having the person who's ill say, I got to think about what I need. No. Be the gift. Be the surprise gift. And that brings even a higher level of joy. If I called you, I said, Les, that dish that your mother made for the holidays, I want you to bring that. No. You just show up and you say, this is something my mother used to make. I loved it. I think you will like it too, because you like fish. I like fish. I think you will like this too. Would you like me to heat it up for you? Yeah. Yeah.
It is very interesting you say that, because let's say I learned it on a job. I've got another friend who seems to be collecting rare disease. He just had a cancer on his elbow, which probably started his MND, so motor neuron disease. He's been given 2 years of living. He's already past 2 years, but he's deteriorating. He can't speak now and stuff like that. And just
I'm
like
sorry to hear that.
Just like you said, I turn up. Oh, your grass need to be cut. Let me do it. Let me do this. Let me do that. And just being there with him, and even having a difficult conversation. How do you dealing with that thought? I cannot tell you what to do, and it's hard for both of us, right? But you need to process that. And it's very difficult for people who are not impacted or are not in the presence of people who are terminally ill, to realize that you cannot say it's gonna be fine. We all want to say, oh, it's gonna be fine, right? It's gonna be all right. It's always all right, right? It's not gonna be all right. And just being with that person and being yourself. Although I learn so many things about my stupid mouth by a conversation, like, oh, you look like you're gonna, I don't know, drag yourself to the grave or something like that. And then you're thinking, idiot, why did you say that to somebody who is terminally ill? It's just the common language is so full of silly things that you have to be cautious what you say, because you never know who you're talking to. And what people call me, and you can hurt person unintentionally. So this is a big lesson for me. Thank you, Seb. That's one of my students who got MND. Because you give me a huge lesson of being a compassionate person, because of presence with him and our weekly conversations.
Yeah. I think, and this is my opinion, and I'm not wrong, that people who are engaged in the martial arts for an extended period of time. I don't want to say 10 years. I don't want to say 3 because it varies.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we have been given a gift. Some people say, I work for it. Yeah, you know what? I work for it. But when I ask you this, Les, have you, in regard to your karate training, have you paid the price or have you reaped the benefits?
I would say I reap the benefits.
Yes. And any martial artist who has had time in grade will say that.
Mm-hmm.
And those benefits are deep and wide. It allows us to do things because we are frequently on the edge of discomfort, because that's where you grow. Mm-hmm. And so we're frequently there. So all of a sudden, somebody says to me, oh, this radiation therapy, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be really tough. I'm going to tell you what's happening, and they went through the whole, and my response was, that remains to be seen. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to respond to it. Well, halfway through the series, I would get off of the table. It'd get all done, the machine's doing its thing, and I would get off the table, and then I would go see this nurse in the radiation department. And I would walk in, I would grab the trash can, I'd throw up in the trash can, put it down, she'd tie it shut, and I'd say, what do we need to do today? That's that I'm going to throw up. It's just, and it wasn't like, oh, this is terrible, it's painful, it's hard. It's like, no, this is what's happening. And you learn in karate and in martial arts, but I think more so in like judo and karate, you learn that there's going to be discomfort. It's not going to be permanent. It's not going to last forever, but it is going to be. And how you choose to be with it is your choice. Are you going to be mature and muster through, or are you going to complain and groan and push back against it? No, you come in together with it, and then you go, and because that it's going to, well, is my radiation going to end? Yes, it is. It's going to end on this date because they give me the date. Okay, I know. Mm-hmm. I just have to make it to here. Okay. But somebody who has not experienced deliberate hardship, I think it's going to be difficult for them to experience an illness. We all have hardship, and some more than others. And, we all know those people that never had any kind of martial arts training, but they are as strong as an oak tree. Mm-hmm. Where does that come from? I don't know. But if I go back and I look, I started when I was a very young man. I was like in the 8th grade. And I look at my teenage years and my early 20s. I was a complainer. I complained about stuff, And then one day it kind of became evident that it wasn't getting me anywhere, and it had, but part of that came from being on the floor in martial arts. It's like, oh, we're going to do this many of this. I don't want to do that many of them, but I'm going to, And so I think we're fortunate in martial arts because we reap the benefits. We don't pay a price. We've never paid a price. We've always reaped the benefits. And how many times have you walked off the mat or had people walk off the mat and they go, wow, that was great. I forgot all about whatever. Mm. That's right. Because if you're not paying attention out here, you might get hit in the face.
Exactly. Very difficult to think about.
Rambled. I apologize. Yeah. I rambled.
No, that's very, very interesting. It is very difficult to think about anything else when somebody tries to take your head off. right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to pay attention
Yeah.
what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the, again, difficult question. How was your mental health impacted when you heard the diagnosis?
Not not severely. It impacted my parents more than it impacted me. I have friends from the first day of kindergarten. I still have friends, and so it was different. It impacted my parents emotionally fairly hard. My friends were like, "Okay, you got cancer. I'm here." And my son was impacted by it, but sort of in a grind sort of way, because he had to be present every day, and sometimes he had to provide perspective for me, and um, I had to listen to him, and so I told him, I said, uh, I'm taking these medications. I'm da 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 da. I'm not 100% in my mind. And so if I'm not making sense or I'm trying to do something that is unreasonable, you have to tell me. And you have to start with listen to me. Say those words, listen to me. And that is my cue that you are telling me that I am not functioning correctly. And so we had this sort of safe word. Well, they did a surgery on me where they went in on the right side. They had 4 incisions about so long down my rib cage, and I went home, and I think it was day 2. I was rolled up in the sheets on the bed. It hurt, and I said to my son, I said, "Bring me some Tylenol," and he goes, "Well, we've got the oxycodone." And I said, I don't want the oxycodone. I want the Tylenol. And he said, no, you need the oxycodone. To which I said, no. And he said, listen to me. You have been stabbed 4 times. It was like, oh, a stabbing. I get that. I get that. So anyway, that's how that worked. But different groups, and it's like my student Randy, who moved from Seattle, he and his wife relocated. I called him up. I said, Randy, I got cancer. This is what's going on, and he's like, Courtney and I are moving. We're coming over the mountains. We're going to come, and we're going to come do this. His move was the equivalent of moving from, say, Wales to Oxfordshire. Mm-hmm. That's, and anyway, he took it. So the thing that I like to think about is that everybody is an incomplete assistant, but what they can assist with is delightful. Mm-hmm. So my son was able to call me on it when I have hallucinations. My parents were deeply compassionate and, sharing with me people that they knew and I've known since I was a child. They want to, Pat Haney wants to know how you're doing. I told her, that was beautiful. So you have all of these kinds of sections of people. And when I told everybody at the dojo what was going on, one of the moms came up and she said, I want to help you so badly. I'm a really good cook. And it's really the only thing I can do very well. And you can't have my food. And I said, I thank you. That's wonderful that you should share this with me, and I've been just so blessed with people, especially in the karate world, but old friends and everything. So I think the basic thing that I would say to anybody that's experiencing, whether it's muscular dystrophy or chronic pain or cancer, whatever the malady might be, don't isolate yourself. Don't do that. You'll want to. You will want to. I don't want friends. I don't want people to see me like this. I'm tired. I don't want to talk. Well, my friend Dave called me up. He says, hey, I'm in town. I'm coming over. Dave, I'm not doing well. It's okay. We don't have to talk. And Dave just came and sat. He just sat. Wonderful. Just wonderful. So great opportunities to reconnect with people and let them be magnanimous and let them be helpful and joyful in their assistance. And you get a chance to experience that too. Tell you what, this is going to sound very odd, but experiencing cancer has reignited my belief that people aren't all bad. Yeah, it's been good. Now, talking about karate, my karate has had to change. It has had to change. I cannot now. I may be in the future to a little bit, but as you know, power diminishes with age, speed diminishes with age. All of these things. But you can train quickness. You can train these things, and so I went from 210 pounds and throwing a 1 pood kettlebell in the park in the mornings to doing a farmer's walk only carrying 2.5 pounds, because that's all I can endure. But it has had to change my karate because I can't be that 1 pood guy anymore. I have to be the 2.5 pound farmer's walk. What does that mean? Well, if you were to put it in Chinese terms, less tiger, more snake. Okay. I when I did judo, I liked it rough. I was not a smooth judoka. It was rough and tumble, tough, and I liked it that way. And guys that would fight liked it that way. So we're all happy. Can't do that. It isn't allowed. So I've had to sit down and consciously do this, and this brings a question for you to see if you have in counsel how I may have gone out with better orientations to leash. But what I did is actively sat down with pen and paper. What can I do? What am I experiencing? What are the elements? Have I used key element in the past? How do I, and the question was, what items do I have to change in karate? And which ones will be beneficial and which ones are not? So I came to the conclusion that I preferred strength over power and mobility over flexibility. Okay, I can do these things, So my question is that now that you know what process I went through without being too specific and two conclusions I came to, what's your view of that process? And is there anything that you would suggest that I might add, delete, or change, and something that our listeners might be able to use too?
So it's very individual. I have people from different walks of life, and we've been going through different processes and looking at the sport methodology. And lots of people now saying in karate you should skip the running around type of exercises into do whatever activity you're gonna do, which is great for a 20-year-old athlete. When you've got a 40, 50, 60-year-old people, I think they benefit from mobility, longer warm-ups and stuff like that. So, one of my friends from Poland, Marek, says it's a very poor translation to English, but you might use martial arts once or sometime, but ability to move, you're going to use daily. So what do you want to prioritize? right?
Sure.
So in
Sure.
our club,
Yeah.
I focus a lot on mobility and strength in I know that it's thrown around a lot, but the functional way, right? You're more likely.
Mhm.
I got injured. I've been recently highly dehydrated, and my muscles started
Mm.
to snap. So I had a torn pec, both tricepses, uh, doing silly things, picking up a shopping bag with a shopping. It torn my thing. So do the functional fitness, right? Picking up the bags, make sure you got the strength to do that. Take care of
Yeah.
your also hydration, diet, building strength. Mobility is very important. If you cannot tie your shoelaces, you should probably work on it, and everything else goes in. I like using, and I see the good results with my elderly. We're using kata, but in kind of tai chi way. So I change a little bit stances to not aggravate the knees and stuff like that, but go in deep
Yeah.
stances, nice and slow. And they get right, tension fix couple of shoulders that my 70-year-old student said, "Oh, doctor said I never gonna have a full motion." 2 years later, they have full rotation in their shoulders. So focus on the process. Don't stress about it. Relax. I think the mental attitude is key. But that's what you said. I think you can say more about the mental attitude because it seems to be that you got put up a really good fight mentally with your ailments and your cancer, and you're a person best to describe what benefits of strong mind and belief can do, right? Because you don't hear often people saying that. It's always about, oh, I got a great medicine, but people who survived don't take credit, don't give credit to themselves for their mental fortitude and input, if that makes sense.
It does. I think you're not going to find any better medicine for trauma than Western medicine. We do trauma really well. We don't do prevention well.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't. And so I think that people should engage in preventative things. And that is, you can have a cookie. You don't have to eat the whole box. You can, um, every take the stairs. One of the things I do, and this is so simple, but it's the journey of the journey begins with a single step.
Uh-huh.
Well, when I put my socks on, I balance on one foot like a crane stance. How long does that take me to do that? 8 seconds to do both feet.
Mm-hmm.
8 seconds turns into 16 on Tuesday. By Friday, I've got almost 30 seconds of standing on one foot. By the end of the month, I've got 2.5 minutes, So I'm a big believer in little bits making a difference. You don't, people say things like, "Oh, go ahead," and I'm not opposed to donuts. I like donuts, Or let me put it in terms that many of your listeners in the UK will understand. I like Greg's when I'm in the UK. I want to stop at Greg's and I want to get the chicken. Okay, I'm getting the chicken pie, and other people are like, "Oh, come on, you don't want to go to Greg's. We got." It's like, no, I don't go to Greg's. But you know what? I don't go to Greg's every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it adds up. And so people will say things like, "Oh, it's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead." No, I had Greg's yesterday. I'm okay. It's not like, oh, I'm punishing myself or anything. No, actually, I'm making an intelligent choice that I think is good for me and will make my life better. to enjoy Greg's once in a while. It's that's the way it is, and be mindful about what you put in your body. It starts becoming preventative, and you can live a longer life. About 25 years ago, I was in the state of Nebraska, and Nebraska. When people ask me to describe what Nebraska is like, Nebraska is a state where you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. It's just, but there was this billboard, and it was from some medical facility, and it said, "It's your body. Where else are you going to live?" Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah. So I think that preventative makes a massive amount of difference, and it's important. You don't have to be a garbage gut. You don't have to take it. Like, I can't tell you the last time I had a soda, a Coke. I just, because I know how much sugar is in that can. Now, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened recently or in the past, but I just can't recall it because that's how much. I don't buy. I was watching somebody in the store the other day. Safeway is like our Tesco, and they're pushing their cart, and they've got 2 cases of soda pop, Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper. My mind is blown. The idea of buying that much soda, not for a party, but just to have in the house to drink. And then, of course, then I felt compelled to audit the rest of their shopping cart and pass a severe level of judgment on them silently.
I can't do that because I fight. It must be about 5 years to drop sugar, and every time when I have some success, kids piss me off, and I go there, grab that jar of Nutella, and get my frustration with it instead of hitting the kids.
Nutella is proof that God loves us. So, and so my diet has even become more focused recently. I'm taking an enormous amount of supplements right now. At one time, my naturopathic oncologist had me on 17 different pills that I'd take on a daily basis. Well, we're down to 5. And I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you a funny story. My new oncologist, who is a fantastic person, he said, I want you to take this medicine. Here's the prescription. So I go to this small pharmacy chemist, and he says, "Come here." Pulls me aside, and I said, "Yeah, I'm here to." And he goes, "Well, here's the, he said, "But we haven't filled it yet." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "It's $600 a bottle." Like, oh, okay. So I go back to my doctor and I said, "Hey, what is that I'm taking?" And he goes, "Well, it's a blood thinner." I'm like, "Okay. Did you know it's 600?" He goes, "Oh, good grief. I didn't know that." Yeah, that's ridiculous. And I said, can I take a baby aspirin? And he goes, "Yeah, you can do that." So I went to the store, and I bet I spent $1.47 to buy baby aspirin, as a blood thinner. It's just the medical system is just crazy. And I don't know how the UK medical system matches up to Canada, because I'm in proximity to Canada. I'm familiar with, a lot of what's going on up there. And at one time when I was a kid, I lived 50 yards away from the Canadian border. Just, that's how it was. And so I'm well aware of what's going on in Canada. But enough about the medical system and all of that kind of good stuff. It's just, should you find yourself in a severe medical situation, do exactly what you said. And I think this is incredibly important. And I'm gonna paraphrase what you said, because I'm gonna put it in my words, but it's directionally the same thing. Be easy with yourself. Just keep what you can do. You can do that. Now me, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm trying to do this and everything. And my son finally stopped me and he said, don't do that. I said, well, no, I got it. And he's like, I don't think you understand. You've got cancer, and it's all over in your body. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. And he said, so knock it off. Well, okay, you can do two. Can you do two? I can do two. All right, do two. Then go sit down. Mm-hmm. And you're right. As martial artists who experience traumatic or life-threatening diseases, or just things that are going to be a challenge for a long time, we have a tendency to get on it, get after it, and go to it. Maybe now it's time that you be a little soft with yourself. You go ahead and do what you think you need to do, but instead of doing 10, do 2, and instead of doing that, don't do it at all. Do something. So you have to be a little bit creative, I think. And the tendency for martial artists is to say, well, if 1 pill is good, 5 must be fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, but the change in my karate has been good, because now I have a better understanding of another aspect. So, my parent system is Goju-Ryu, which translates into hard soft. And there's nothing wrong with being strong, but sometimes I kind of drifted into what I would call go-go-Ryu. There wasn't a lot of Ju. And now there must be. It's non-negotiable. Now, do you want to adapt and continue, or do you want to continue to be an idiot? Because if you're going to continue to behave and train the way that you did in the past, it's very appropriate, like you said, for a 20-year-old. But at my age, if I train like that, I look like a 60-year-old divorced man who bought a sports car and got hair transplants.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good look. So anyway, how was your last seminar? What came out of that was unique and interesting for you?
So I had a last one. I was teaching in Germany, so lots of fun, and I was training with a idol of mine. So when I was starting karate in our dojo was Ashihara Karate inspired.
Yeah.
And I've been reading about this guy Jürgen Holler in Germany, who've been young, fair done in Ashihara, so the top technical one. And through Christian, our good friend together, they're friends, and I become a friend of my idol who I was reading, and I've been blessed to teach with him together on a seminar as equals, and I can call each other friends. So this is something that, for me, it was unimaginable 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So, it's just blessed.
When that happens, you pinch yourself, Yeah. It's like, wow.
Plus, he's a super nice and humble guy, so it's always nice. Thanks to internet, I lost a lot of respect for people who I put on a pedestal and observing their daily interactions with people.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
really nice to meet the guy who you idolized and being genuine, humble, lovely human being that put my behavior sometimes to shame. So
Yeah. That's been an interesting thing. See people reveal themselves in ways that you had not anticipated. Um, I was, I think it was Stu Williams. We were driving along the road, and he asked some kind of political question, and I said, "No, I don't have any comment on that." He said, "Well, do you have thoughts on it, don't you?" And yeah, I do, but it's not my business. What goes on in British politics. I said, I can look at them afar, but who am I to, as a Yank, to comment on even in casual conversation?
mm-hmm.
I just don't want to do that. It's not my place, and I don't like on social media. I don't engage in negativity, and I don't engage in politics, and because neither one of those have a place on the dojo floor.
Mm-hmm.
So why? I don't. If you follow me socially, I don't think you might be able to deduce some things, but I don't think you know how I vote or what I prefer, because it doesn't make any difference. It's not important. If you and I got into a deep political conversation about, Polish politics, because I was working for a United States senator when Lech Walesa came to prominence. So, we watched all of that, but I don't understand it. I see it and I can go, oh, I see what happened, but I don't understand what happened underneath. I don't understand what's going on top. I don't know the history. It's ridiculous for me to get on my white horse and ride up and knock on your door and go, let me tell you how you should do this. It's ridiculous. So I don't engage in that kind of stuff. And, I leave that to others. I mean, I certainly have my opinions and I think everybody is entitled to their opinion. And I want people to have their thoughts and their comments. And if they choose to engage in that sort of stuff, that's their business. Go ahead. But I don't think anybody is going to go to their grave saying the words, I wish I'd argued on the internet a little bit more. It isn't going to happen. Yeah. And so, I think that you've experienced it too. Now, having seen some people who you had projected ideas onto and realized that they're not who they appear to be, you can choose to ignore that, move on, cash it, recognize it, move on. You can choose not to engage. There are many choices. I think the worst of them is to say to them, well, actually, let me tell you, we're not getting anywhere. I'm at no time have I ever seen anybody who's engaged in this kind of stuff on social media go, you're right. I'm going to change my opinion. It doesn't happen that way.
I have to say, I have one guy who's been commenting very negatively on my comments on TikTok. And I said to him, I can't remember what the explanation was, but actually he sent me a message, apologized. He said, I had a bad day. I'm working on me better. I know that I can be mean. I do apologize. But 2 weeks later, he had to go at me again. So
yeah. The one I enjoy is what I call them the ghost technica. What they do is they they go to say your video, and they'll say, which by the way, I enjoy your postings. Please don't stop, because sometimes sometimes I hadn't thought about it that way before. That's not a bad idea, so I'm going to pinch that, so but the ghost technica, they're the people who will look at your video and go, well, that's not bad, but you need to keep your elbow in tighter until it's like, oh, shut up. Number one, where's your video? Number one. Number two, please feel free to give me your direct contacts so that we can discuss this. No, they fly in, they're ghosts. They tell you about your technique, and then they fly away, feeling quite confident that they have changed the world of karate. And the thing of it is too is that people don't understand. Maybe some do. Maybe some do, and I could probably point to a couple people that you and I both know that don't do seminars. They come to them. They don't produce them, but they are there because they know they're going to get something, and they know that we've put in the work to try to give a value presentation to them of information that they may find valuable and able to integrate to their art and share with their students at a later date. Now, there's other ones that don't, are out there to their prowess. Okay, that's fine, and everything. But I think the majority of people that come to a seminar, although there are rare different ones, like Christian's Castle seminar is different because it is a destination. You must make serious plans. It's not like, oh, I think I'll drive up to Wantage. It's not that. And there is a depth of preparation that goes on. Now, you and I and others that do this, we're actually better for it because we have to think about what we're doing. We got it. It's like, oh no, that doesn't work. Oh yes, this is the. Oh, okay. Now we're going to go down this. And you prepare. And so when I see a seminar, it's like Sensei Schweenwacker, 11th Dan, blah blah blah. It's going to be space limited. I'm suspicious I'm just going to wind up marching up and down the floor doing gate on barai, and I don't want to do that, I want engagement. I want people to have an opportunity to go, and I remember when you and I met at
Matt Jardine's.
Yeah. Matt Jardine's seminar, we met, and there was a moment where you said, this is good because I know, I'm kind of paraphrasing, I see somebody, me, doing what my instructor told me to do. So there was this validation, which I took as just fantastic, great news. But I also knew something was coming at that point, and it was like, no, this guy's going to do something. And I I didn't know what it was, but it was like, oh, this guy's going to do something. And you have, and it's been good. It's been really good. And I do not place myself. Do not take this as that I place myself farther down the road than you or above you. I just look at that moment where you verbalized something that you had been thinking about, and I take pride in the fact that I may have been a small spark that ignited a really brilliant flame. You got a chance to now be who you are and to show your art and to show it in ways that I think are unique and impressive and valuable to the martial arts community as a whole. And so when I say this, I don't say it from a position of elevation. I say it as a place of compatriot. And it's like, wow, man, I just love the stuff you're doing. It's great.
Thank you, but there's other side of that story as well. We actually been 2 days. I saying that I got the interview with you today, and my wife reminded me because, as you remember, I've been with my wife on your seminar,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we both think that you are the best, or maybe one of the best people explaining stuff. And I've been trying to emulate your style of teaching since I've seen you. But I can't draw as good as you, so it's
Oh, yeah. Well, you
it's just a
flatter
poor
me.
imitation.
Well, that very kind words, and I will accept them, but bashfully, So that's really kind of you, and to be remembered, by beautiful women, that's a good thing too. So
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
What I'm lacking of is, and I think that podcast helped me a lot. I think I never been as clear expressing my thoughts as now. And again, part of it is just yourself, Ian Abernathy, and Mark House, the people who are more educated than I am, more eloquent in expressing their thoughts. That's what I try to copy and spend a lot of time to try to put the chaos in my head into a understandable words for other people.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest
Yeah.
struggle in martial arts, to be honest.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because that means that when you say the chaos in your head, nothing good, vibrant, or moving forward has come from stasis. It just hasn't. One of the things that I do not like is when I ask the question, why? Why do you do that? Well, it's tradition. I lose my mind. That's not a good answer. Tradition can be the answer, but please tell me why. There's a story. It's out there. Do you know the story of the young couple and their first Easter ham?
Nope.
Okay. So a young couple, and the first Easter is coming, and the wife takes the ham and she cuts a little bit off the end and a little bit off the other end, puts it in the pan. The husband observes this, doesn't say anything. Well, it comes along to about the third Easter. She cuts the ham. He says, yeah, I have a question for you. Why do you do that? And she said, well, my mother did it. And he said, oh. So she comes over for Easter. And he says to his mother-in-law, my wife does this, and you did it too. It's tradition. It must be, it makes the ham juicier. It does this, da, 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 da. And she says, my pan wasn't big enough. Sometimes it's that simple. Yeah, please go ahead.
I've got a bit ruder version of the same thing, but actually related to martial arts. So my teacher was always saying that, there's a group of students doing shikodachi with very angry face and a grunt. And somebody asked them, what are you doing? Oh, my sensei done it. And then asked, oh, my sensei done it. So they've actually found the sensei. And what people forgot to ask the sensei, and the sensei said, I do that when I do shikodachi because I've got hemorrhoids and it's painful.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the five whys? This was a technique that my co-author Lawrence Kane shared with me, and it's actually a Japanese corporate method of inquiry, and it is from the 30s, I believe, if not the 50s. And again, I think it might be Toyota or Mitsubishi. But the question was to ask five whys. So, as an example, we could take something as simple as why don't you? And we'll just play a game here for a second, and I get to ask the five whys. It's like, why don't you drink soda every day? And I ask you that question.
Yeah, because I like to stay healthy.
Why do you like to stay healthy?
Because it's got benefits for me and my children.
And why do you want to have such benefit for you and your children?
So I don't be that unable to move parent on the playground.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you see how this works.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And you drill down, and finally you get to that kernel, and you don't want to be that parent on the playground, which probably, I'm going to project this. I don't want to be a bad example for my children.
Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah.
Because I want why is that? Because I want my children to live a long and healthy life. What parent doesn't want their child live a long and healthy life? The bad one. So the same thing applies to your karate students, my karate students, everybody's karate students. Don't do things to injure the body. I mean, when I was young and stupid, we do knuckle push-ups on the concrete floor. Stupid. So somebody asked me, they said, why do you not do that anymore? It's like, I want to tie my shoes when I'm 80.
Yeah, but lots of
I don't want to be.
Lots of people think that Higaona's sensei hands are to aspire, right? I think they just look horrible. No. I understand the dedication to it, but why would you do that to yourself?
Well, yeah. In fact, I did a show on my Patreon called, I think it was called "Hey, Let's Maim Ourselves." It's we had a guy in the judo dojo that was a Dartmouth educated lower extremity surgeon, brown belt. And one day we were doing duck walks around the judo mat, and he went over to Sensei Yamada and talked to him for a moment. Yamada stops everybody, and he goes, "We don't do that anymore." And we moved on. So I talked to Doc Knight. I said, "Hey, Doc, what'd you say?" And he goes, "I explained to him that this was not good for the knees, and it was very bad. And, you're going to listen to a doctor who, gets paid a lot of money to get it right, And I mean, it happened like that. There was not a like, well, we need to think about it. It's like, no, we don't do that anymore then. Boom, we're done. We move on. So, there's a lot of things that used to be done. People are like, oh, you need to have the stone paddocks, and train with those. Well, okay, if you want to, but you can just go down to the local store and get a kettlebell, and it's going to do the same thing for you. And when you drop it, because I have dropped many a kettlebell out, in the park, because I digress. Have you ever seen this woman? She's about 60 years old, and she just throws the kettlebell around. Yeah. Okay. So it's like, well, by God, if she can do it, I could do it too. Not so much. Yeah. And I'm dropping that kettlebell, and I'm ducking, and the best I've been able to do is a couple handle flips, and then I decided to catch cancer, and that kind of changed things. But we've got the advantages of today's training. So, I'm going to go get Pavel's book on kettlebells because he knows what he's doing. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna get into Mike Metzger, a former United States bodybuilding champion who had very interesting ideas about training. And it's like I can remember when we were kids and we were playing football, American football, practicing. You didn't want to drink water during practice because it wasn't good for you.
You had same in
It's
karate.
insane. Yeah. Oh, it's insane. No. Don't do that. Keep your water level up. Keep your brain functioning well. Let's get some good training in here. But anyway, no, I agree with you. I don't think that. Well, let me put it to you this way. Have you ever seen a Hells Angel motorcycle club member, A, in a gym, or B, trying to get calluses on his knuckles? But the answer is no. But the answer is, or the next question is, do they understand violence? Yes, they do. Do they need any of those things? No, they don't, because they understand violence. So if we understand karate, and violence is part of karate, then we don't need to do those things. We don't need to maim ourselves. We don't need to get involved in, when I look at somebody who's got like sub-skin plants, of like little horns, or they got the nose, body modification stuff. I look at it and I go, I don't understand it. It's ugly. I think it's an outward manifestation of some sort of mental illness. That's the way I see it. Maybe not a bad case of mental illness, but one nonetheless. And so why would I not look at other aspects of body maiming? People are, oh, wow, the Thai fighters, they can chop down a banana tree with their shins. Yes, they can, but they're not doing it at 40. They can't, Now, if your life expectancy is 30, I guess I'm not going to stop you, but it's not, in the Western world, our life expectancy is, mid 70s, 80s, and my genetic pool is my parents are still alive, living at home on their own, totally active, 88 and 86 years of age. My Uncle Dave died at 91. I've got a long history of genetics that say that I'm going to last a long time. Well, I don't know about you, but I suspect, and again, another case of projection, that if I asked you, are you going to retire at 65 from karate?
Hopefully not.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not forced to by some malady, you're not going to. Do you want to be teaching karate at 70?
Probably. Yeah. I'm not sure if I want to teach, but it depends.
Let's say you move into an executive role where you're not banging and clanging, but you're assisting. Yeah.
Definitely sharing the knowledge will be the.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. One kid said to me the other day, he goes, how come you're not doing push-ups with us? And I didn't say I got cancer. What I said was, I've done my time. But the thing of it is what I'm pointing to is that at no time did you say, yes, that's when I'm going to end. You don't know. It's going to go on. You don't know. And that's the difference between the person who takes it on as something to, enjoy, which we all enjoy it, but some of us take it more seriously. We write a book. We reveal things about ourselves and our training in hopes that it might assist others that have an aha moment. And it's like, I'm not the only one that feels that way. This is, you know, and yeah. And, you know, we do those things and we hope that we're leaving something that somebody might discover. It's no secret that my business partner, Lawrence, he had a very rare form of cancer. They said, "Oh, you got a really rare form of cancer," and we've had a 2/3 success rate in treatment. The bad news is that we've only had 3 cases in the United States. So we wrote this book called When Cells Rebel, and it's not like, hey, here's our journey in cancer. No, it's simple things. It's little haikus on one side to help you set the tone. And then the chapter on the other page is probably only going to be 1 page long. And it's called Buy More Underwear. You're going to need them. You know, I mean, it's stuff like, it's like, get to know your nurse, you know, you know, these kinds of things. And, you know, when we were writing it, we both were of the same mind, which is, this is a niche book for a niche audience of martial artists who are now experiencing some form of medical trauma. We're not going to sell a lot of these, but God willing, and the creek doesn't rise, it's going to make it into the hands of some people who really need it. And that's more important to us than having a New York Times bestseller. Well, it did win the New York Times Best Book Award, which was interesting because we both looked at it. Les, this is so bad. We both kind of looked at this award and we both went, yeah. Now, if we had won that 20 years ago, I would have been on the roof shooting flares off. You know, I mean, it was just, you know, but it isn't why we did that book. And it just happened. And it was like, okay, that's great. Maybe it'll get into the hands of some other people. But when we write a book, as you've done, and I think you've got another one coming soon, don't you?
I've got a couple of projects started, but it's with everything going on, the time is, I'm nearly ready to publish the kettlebells for karate book.
Okay.
Which not gonna be
I will
what
buy a copy of that. Let me know.
What I gonna do, because it came from my mind earlier when you said the kettlebells, and Jürgen is the guy from Ashihara, is a kettlebell instructor as well, so he had a look at it. I send you a manuscript, and then you can tell me if it's a worthy or is it a poo-poo, because it's not not the book with exercises, but it's my take on how the mechanisms of kettlebells help you with karate. So there's not many exercises, but there's periodization, building up, why I prefer the gross motor movements instead of fine-tuning, you know, Gedan Barai or Jodanuke with a kettlebell. So it's kind of more how it helps me in that way.
I would be honored and absolutely fascinated to see what you're doing there. But I'm going to write your first review. And it goes like this. This is a pretty good book, but he doesn't do my karate system.
Yeah, his elbow is too flaring out.
Yeah. Talk about it. Said one of our books, The Little Black Book of Violence, somebody actually wrote a review, and it was a 1-star review because they said, Little Black Book of Violence is deceptive. It is not a small book. 1 star.
Yeah, I had it on my Anxious Black Belt, you know, where you can read the short information about what it is. And I say in my bio, and they said, oh, there was no pictures with the karate techniques in it.
Well, I've done 2 books on Sanchin Kata and 1 DVD. And people go, he doesn't show the pattern. I purposely don't show the pattern because, you might be doing Weijiru. You might be doing Ishinru. The patterns are a little different, but the fundamentals are still the same. So get off the pattern, get into the fundamentals. But then there are those people that are like, you say that to them and they go, yeah, but you didn't show the pattern. I know. Get off the pattern, get into the fundamentals, incorporate it into the pattern in which you do. You didn't show the pattern. Okay, we're done. I can't help you. I can't help you. And that's normal. Because people, whether they want to admit it or not, are very childlike in their patterns. If their pattern gets disrupted, then it's bad. The other day, now arguably I was full on in chemo and immunotherapy and radiation, and I so wanted a piece of toast. And so I made this piece of toast, and I wanted marmalade on it because my grandmother always had marmalade. We never had marmalade, but my grandmother had marmalade. So here I am, losing weight, very ill, standing in my underwear, looking at this piece of toast, waiting for it. And I butter it, and unless I make sure I get the edges, and I get out the marmalade and I put the marmalade on it and everything, and I go to put it in my mouth and I lose my grip and it falls face down on the floor. At this point, I'm ready to take a flamethrower to the house. It's just because my pattern was disrupted. And in lower cases, you can see people's patterns being disrupted. Commute. Oh, this guy cut me off, and then this happened. Because that guy did not wake in the morning and say, I'm going to get that less guy. I'm going to cut him off today. And so when people's patterns get disrupted a little bit, you hear about it. They express it in words. Children will cry. Good grief. How many times as a father did you go, uh-oh, somebody missed a nap today? Ugh, not good. Yeah. So when people come into karate, they see pattern. They see kata, pattern. That's the literal translations, pattern. So I want to do the pattern correctly. I want to do it right. And we've all met those people. Is my foot turned 33 degrees or 31 and a third? It's like, you're close enough. It's okay. But they're looking for that perfect pattern. And because if they can find the perfect pattern, then they will have completed, and they then can rest in the pattern knowing I'm doing it correctly. And if the pattern gets disrupted, they don't like it. If the sensei comes in and goes, hey, you know what? We used to turn left, but sensei changed it. We turn right now. Oh my God. Oh my God. Or I was teaching at a seminar one time, and I'm not inclined to tell you how to do something. I'll show you how to do it, and I'm kind of like, I treat it like this is information, and you can choose to take it and integrate it and use it and get your own, or you can choose to reject it. Well, this one guy was doing it, and he said, can I show you something? This solves your issue. And he said, wow, that really worked. I said, yeah, there you go. And he said, it really worked. I'm not changing anything. Okay. Thanks for telling me. Why are you here? Yeah. And I know I've run into too, and it may not have been overt as that was. you get the side eye, you get the look, or you get and the next thing you know, you show them something, but you're over on the other side of the room, and they've snapped back and are doing what they were doing in their dojo. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, that's nice, but that's not why you came here, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So, take what is useful and integrate it. And if you can, but like I said, people will adhere to their pattern because it makes them safe. It's comforting. It's like a warm robe. Yeah. And I know you've felt it too. I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
And there's no escaping it.
I'm gonna have to go and put the kids to bed. Can you tell us
Ah,
what's the new projects? I'm sure you're working on something, and I would like
oh
to
yeah.
have a part two because I would like to pick your brain about forming a good syllabus for a martial art.
Mm, yeah. I got answers on that.
Yeah.
Okay. First question was, what am I working on? Lawrence and I are working on a book right now called The Everyday Kerry Musashi. And it's a little different in that what it does is it takes the elements of, say, the Book of Fire, and it takes, item number 5, and it talks about it, but then it either uses a fictitious fictional Musashi event, and we tell you these are fiction. They're complete,
Mhm.
but they're just used as illustration, and then we move through it. And sometimes there's some historical examples as well, too, to keep it grounded in reality. But the goal is not to just republish Musashi's words, but to actually add some content that is germane to today's world that you may be able to quickly integrate into what you do.
Mhm.
The other thing is that I would love to do part 2 because you're very quiet and you let me talk forever. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And although we are separated by 3,000 miles and a few locations on the sun, we are in ways of minds, and we share the same goals for our students and for self or for our families. And we have come to form a small cluster of people, yourself, me, Ian, Chris, to a few who are mutually respectful of one another and able to share ideas and concepts and work around these things. And for that, that is amazing. Can you imagine such a thing 30 years ago? No,
Yeah.
not at all. Not at all. And I would love to see your kettlebell manuscript. I think it would, because honestly, I think it's going to be good for me. I get to steal,
Hmm.
some techniques and some ideas and go put them to work for myself. So completely selfish on that respect, but I'll look at it. and,
Uh,
the other thing is that let's do a number 2.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do a
just
number 2.
picking on you said that me sitting quietly. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts and I'm trying to learn from them. And one thing which I concluded that
Mm-hmm.
the most people who do podcast radio, they love their own voice. So they're interrupting all the time their guests, which I don't like. I like listening. That's what I'm doing. I like listening to people's ideas. And feedback from the small group of listeners is that they enjoy that I allow people to talk and I don't interrupt.
Les, I have done the same thing. I look and listen to other shows sometimes, and it's like, when are you going to shut up?
Mm.
I want to hear what that person has to say. And some people are pretty doggone good at lobbing it, and lobbing a good question and then sitting back.
Mhm.
Lex Friedman is great at that. And so I enjoy listening to him. And we could go on and on and on, but you've got things to do. One of the things Les, did I think I did, but I want to make sure you got it and accessed it. That gift for the
Yes.
Patreon.
Yes.
Okay.
I am in. I'm gonna link it your Patreon and books through the video and on the description for a podcast, so people gonna reach out and hopefully get some stuff. And I really keep a treasure your kata explanation book, because I think it's one of the best kata books ever.
Thank you. That really, that means a lot coming from somebody who has as much time and experience on the floor as you. And I thank you. That's very kind of you. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for all your work. Okay, we're gonna have a part 2, guys, soon. Tune for that one. And for today, thank you very much for listening, and we catch you in the next one.
Thank you, my friend. This has been a delight. Thank you so much.
Well done for listening to all of it. You are a superhero. Thank you very much for your support. And if you could leave us that review on a podcast platform, that would be amazing. I appreciate your time, appreciate your support, and I wish you all the best until the next one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Find the biggest voices in sports on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like Big Kick Energy with me, Maisie Adam.
And me, Susie Ruffle.
Each week we bring you the latest from the world of women's football. Whether you're a lifelong fan like me,
or a newer fan like me and have recently got swept up in the Lioness excitement,
we've got everything you need to know about the women's game.
Search Big Kick Energy and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.